Okay, this is the video that deals with section 4 of your coursework folder in resistant materials. Let's have a quick look at the mark scheme just as a reminder of what's expected for this section. Okay, so the specification is the area that we've just done, and now we're going to be concentrating on this area here. Now this, as you will see, carries considerably more range of marks. Now, as you've noticed in previous table from the book, this section, the initial ideas section, carries with it the most amount of marks. So there's 12 marks available here, 12 marks of 50. Let's zoom in on the top mark boundary like we've done in previous, so that we can see what it is that we're going to be asked to be doing, things that we need to include within our design ideas section. Okay, in order to have access to the full 12 marks, then we need to be able to be thinking of alternative design ideas, so that's different design ideas that are drawn in a realistic way, that are workable and detailed. Now this detailing will be in relation to the way the idea is drawn, but also in the way we've used notes to support the idea that we've drawn. Let's carry on reading. So we've got ideas that demonstrate an understanding, a detailed understanding of materials, processes, how the thing is going to be made, and techniques. And this is supported by research information. And the final point is that your ideas need to reflect or address the key specification points that you've done previously. Okay, when we look at the next box along, you'll see how this has become simplified. But as this has become simplified, so too have the marks obviously suddenly been reduced from 12 to a maximum of possible 8. Now what you need to make sure is that you have done everything that this box asks you to do, and you have evidenced all of these things, and that you've made this obvious to the examiner, either by using subtitles or different colours or notes or whatever. So if we look at an example of then what that sheet might look like, got an idea that's drawn on here. If we zoom out slightly. So, going to be working on an A3 sheet, same as previously. The title of this will be the same as your other pages. Now it might be, if you want this to look so that it fits in with the rest of your folder, you might want to print some pages off that have your title and your border on, and then leave the rest blank in order that you can then fill in with your drawings, but the pages still match the other pages that you've done. Now let's just look at some of the specifics within this idea. First of all, we have a drawing that you could argue is realistic in that it has a three-dimensional nature, so that we understand the shape, or the examiner will be able to understand the shape. Okay, colour has been used to reinforce the idea of realistic shape. Now let's look at the notes, because this is the bit that then is going to tick all of the rest of the boxes in the mark boundary. Look down at the bottom, starting off, you'll see I put these coloured blobs in. Now if you remember back to the specification video, I was talking about using colours as a key at the beginning of each of your specification points, and that this would be useful later in your ideas. So rather than write out all my specification points, what I've done is I've looked at the idea I've drawn, looked back at my specification, and then I've checked those points that this idea matches. Okay, and that by doing that, I've evidenced my specification within the ideas. So that's one of the points from that top mark box. I've also been quite specific in my labelling of the materials, and then annotating that, or increasing the detail of that, by saying I've used aluminium because it looks good and it's durable. Similarly, I've talked about processes because I've said that this element here is going to be made using a lathe. Similarly, on the back, I've got the plywood, back and front has been mentioned, okay, and my reason for this, my justification for this, is because the client has specified that previously. Okay, the side of this particular radio, it might be you're doing a lamp and not doing a radio at all, but the same information is important. This side panel is acrylic, and you can see that I've decided to use this because it can be laser engraved and comes in a variety of colours. All right. This sports theme is also something that linked to the interests of the client, so that's another link there to the research that I've done earlier in my project. Lastly, we've got steel mesh so that it gives a clear sound, and that was another point from a specification in relation to function. Okay, now this is one idea, and you, as part of the mark scheme, as you will remember, need to come up with alternative design ideas, plural, okay, that are realistic and workable. So what you should be looking to do is produce around 15 of those ideas that will work across 3 different pages probably. You may need to go on to 4 pages, but you're better to keep it to 2 or 3 pages of different ideas. Okay.